everybody. Welcome to a Friday stream. We actually ended up having quite a bit to discuss, even though the Warner Brothers Discovery call wasn't as exciting as Disney's the other week. Bob Iger still knows how to throw a party. And I think, still very much everybody's expecting Warner Brothers to be for sale. And I think it's very clear at this point that David Zaslav is already, a salesman. Every time he talks about Warner Brothers Discovery, it has a feeling to it of like, wouldn't you like to own this? And so that's, I think, really what he's focused on. In fact, you really only saw him mention things that I think he feels will help with the sale. And you have to wonder if maybe even with some of the things, he has no intention of seeing them through to the end, or maybe even feel that they might necessarily happen. But it's more like he's putting ideas into the buyers' heads of what they could do. Like, for instance, he said today that the Harry Potter Max show will come out in 2026. That is so far away that if everything goes to plan, someone else will own the studio before that can even go into pre-production. So that to me is really, really interesting. So when you think about things that were discussed today, I'm glad you think that's a good point, Mr. Ronian. I think some of the things that David Zaslav says is you could do that instead of that he actually plans to do it. Also, a side note, something I couldn't fit into today's stream, but it seems like the reason that Tom Cruise has his Warner Brothers deal is he wants to win an Oscar, and he feels he can do that through Warner Brothers. Although Christopher Nolan had to leave Warner Brothers to get an Oscar, so maybe not. Riley, a black sweater, this is navy blue. That reminds me of that hilarious scene from Dudley Do-Right. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie with Brendan Fraser and Alfred Molina, and they're talking about whether or not I think they were saying like Alfred Molina wasn't a villain anymore. And I think Dudley Do-Right's like, you're wearing navy blue. That's not black. Because he's like, why am I all dressed in black? And they do like a sleeve check or something. And it was just so funny. To this day, I remember that because who hasn't been out and thought that they looked all cool in black and then with the sunlight looked down and been like, oh my God, I'm wearing navy. Although I have to say, this navy blue sweater is intentional. This is my Adidas sweater. It's one of those purchases where you're not sure it's going to be anything, but I actually kind of like the way it looks, particularly because you guys always think it looks good. So it's made me feel nicer about this sweater. All right. Some of you might see, it's definitely blue, I think. I can definitely see a blue highlight. That's interesting that some of you might think that it's black. Interesting. All right. This isn't Fashion Corner, though. We got to get into today's stories. Of course, as always, please keep your questions and comments to the story at hand. At the very end of the stream, as always, there will be 10 minutes where you can ask me anything that you would like. All right? So that's where you can save those questions and comments for. All right, welcome back, Cormac. Hey, everybody. It's so nice to see everybody. I see a couple of members. Miss Bubbles, I like your upbeat greeting. Coven of Hags. That's a very funny name, and I like your picture. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Matt, welcome back. Jose, welcome back. It's so nice to see everyone. All right, let's get started. We got a lot to go through. All right. Story number 1. Here it goes. Where is it? Boop. Okay, Zazzy. Zazzy was on the phone this morning. Hey, Michael, thank you for gifting some memberships. So Zazzy was on the phone this morning. The call didn't go great. I think, again, he can't hide the fact that the company's, you want to know how much of a non-exciting situation the call was? Here's what the stock looked like after the call. See the little red circle? That was the stock before the call. So you can see it, let me get my arrow. You can see it dropped off precipitously. That's where it was on Thursday, and then that's where it is right now. Now, it looks like a really steep drop because we're dealing in such small numbers. As you can see, the range over here is from 8 to 11. Ha! Woo! All right, so it only really dropped like about $1, but, when you're under $10, $1's quite a bit. Now, to give you some perspective, okay, here is the stock since Warner Brothers Discovery became a thing. It hasn't been that long. if you click on the 5-year thing, you only get a couple of years because it's April 2022 when this merger was completed. So as you can see, it was doing quite well. At the merger, it was close to 25. Woo! Just so you know, just for comparison, Disney is currently trending at about $95. And Bob Iger's trying to get it over 100. Patrick points out that the actual price doesn't cost; it's the percentage, which isn't great either, as you can see, down 66% all time. The percentage drops for the 1 month is down 21%. But I think that's not necessarily true, because I think that Netflix, for instance, is considered a wonderful stock because it's so darn expensive. Netflix stock, I forgot, let me just look it up. I'll tell you what Netflix stock is worth. It's just insane. In fact, I know that a number of Netflix employees are paid with stock options, which is why when stock for Netflix went down, remember a couple of years ago they had those bad subscriber numbers all of a sudden, or bad for Netflix, and their stock went down and everyone at Netflix hit the panic button? That's because the net worth or their salaries is directly tied to the stock, which I guess is a pretty good incentive when you think about it for the company. Okay, yeah, Netflix stock is $583 a pop. So it's $583 for a Netflix per stock, and it's $8.40 for Warner Brothers Discovery. Woo! That's embarrassing. Or, as Zazie would say, a great deal for someone. He'd be like, hey, everybody, don't you want to buy this? This is super cheap. All right, so yeah, the stock not doing great. We'll leave that up while we talk. So while Zazie was speaking, he really honed in, I think, on the two franchises that he feels are the crown jewels of Warner Brothers right now. Also HBO. I don't think he played up HBO enough. HBO is doing a lot of heavy lifting for that for that company and the service. But anyway, DC and Harry Potter. He talked about Superman Legacy starting filming next week, and of course one of our whole sections is dedicated to Superman Legacy, so we'll talk about that more then. But then also he pointed out that Hogwarts Legacy really did a lot for the video game division. And I thought that was kind of like an uncool thing to do, because there's another game that's doing very well. I mean, it has a little bit of drama surrounding it, but it's still in the top 10, and that's, of course, Mortal Kombat 1. I know that Mortal Kombat's had a tough time, this new version. I'm not quite sure. I've seen some of the streaming numbers, and I think they're a little lower than I'm sure they would like. But still, when you look at game sales, top 10 is top 10. So it's weird that, Zazie wouldn't give them a shout out, considering they are one of the top 10 games of the year, and they have a movie coming up. The first one did surprisingly well, like the first of this new franchise. Roll the Dice, I think a lot of people maybe feel the same as you do. I've seen a lot of discussion online about it. But if I were Zazie and I'm trying to put my best foot forward, I'd still say it's, I got 2 games in the top 10, thank you very much, for 2023. And of course, Mortal Kombat 2 has wrapped filming. And in fact, not only is Carl Urban in the film, but the other day, the producer teased that John Cena might potentially be in the movie. John Cena, of course, doing a voiceover for Peacemaker, that trailer dropping yesterday. So I think there's something there. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised he didn't bring up Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, because that, I don't really know if they have any numbers to support that. But the video game division, interesting. That's right, Nacho Flores. John Cena also joined OnlyFans, although I don't believe, from what I can see online, I'm not signing up for that, but I can see that there's not actually anything there, that's revealing, but it's promotional for his new movie, Ricky Stenicki or whatever, from the Farley brothers, which also stars Zac Efron, which I think is a Prime Video movie. So I think John Cena better be careful not to be a little bit too overexposed, because I think that pulled away from the debut of the Peacemaker trailer, which is what he should have been pushing all day yesterday instead. But yeah, so they have 2 games, but Hogwarts Legacy is very impressive. That's one of the things that inspires our third story of the day, where we'll talk about Harry Potter a little bit more. We're going to, just like Zazie wants, we're going to talk about the 2 crown jewels of his empire today. Although, again, I do think that Mortal Kombat is something of value to the studio. But April sure is coming up fast. Zazie's going to sell this thing so quickly. He already took meetings with Paramount to talk about doing a merger and then having somebody buy that. I mean, anybody who thinks he's not going to sell it at this point is just kidding themselves. Adria, it wasn't a Peacemaker trailer for season 2 that dropped yesterday. It was a Peacemaker trailer. That character is appearing in Mortal Kombat. Jaden says the reason they likely aren't recognizing MK1 is because their competent scene is being scrutinized by the scene. There's been little... I'm not quite sure what you're saying. I will acknowledge that there's lots of drama around Mortal Kombat, for sure. I've seen a lot of the YouTubers who cover it going negative in their coverage. I'm like, wow, it happened to the video game space. Same thing. But, you know, I think it's still the number 8 selling game of 2023. And so that has to count for something. So that, you know, I'm certainly acknowledging that there is a problem there. But, you know, I think there's a silver lining that could have been called out. But yes, April is coming up extremely fast. I think that we will be discussing in just a few months not only the sale of Warner Brothers, but what that looks like. Who will purchase it? Do they sell off portions of it? Joy, I don't know if Anthony Starr is voicing Homelander, but it looks like he's not. And I would say that if you ain't seen nothing yet when it comes to drama, when that character drops, if Anthony Starr isn't voicing him. So I think that's going to be a rough time for the Mortal Kombat team. But, you know, I question whether or not they should have even done the character if they couldn't get Anthony Starr to voice him. Particularly because Anthony Starr seems pretty upset about it and has gone out of his way to say negative things. It's bad, okay? Yeah, Cammy Starr has confirmed he's not voicing the character, but I know that some fans like to think that maybe he's trolling to not get your expectations up. But I don't think he is, because I don't think that he is. But yes, back to, we're talking about Warner Brothers Discovery. April is coming up fast. And I really do believe that we're going to be seeing not only the sale of Warner Brothers, but you will see, I think, probably broken up a little bit. Maybe some parts sold off. I think there's a very good chance the video game division might be sold to somebody else. I mean, let's just see what happens. But I think it's going to be really interesting. We'll have a lot of business discussions. All right, so let's go to the second story of the day as we do a deep dive into these two brands. All right, so boop. Let's talk about Superman Legacy. We have a surprising amount to talk about, even though cameras have not even begun to roll. All right, so it starts filming next week, and as has been revealed, they will be filming part of the film, 25%. That's right, Jonathan, it's a super boop. Super boop. Do-do-do-do. All right, so they're going to be filming part of it in Ohio, which is a nice touch. Not only do they get a tax credit for filming in Ohio, but Cleveland is the official birthplace of Superman. So they got that going for them on the press tour. They're like, that's Ohio behind us. And you're like, we never would have guessed it, but that's nice. But it's, it's a nice talking point. It's a nice talking point. I like it. They bring jobs to Ohio, and, they get a big tax credit. And boy, does Zazie love to save on taxes. He loves tax credits, perhaps a little bit too much. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about two things, the logo and the cast pick that James Gunn put out yesterday. All right? But no costumes, though, just the cast pick. And we're going to go through everybody. We're going to have fun. But the logo was leaked, inadvertently maybe, who knows, by Isabella Merced, who posted a picture of her placard at the table read. And you're like, what? Why would you do that? I mean, I can't imagine that it wasn't approved by somebody, but yeah, that's the logo. Is it going to be black and white? I'd be real surprised if it was black and white. Now, this logo has a history, okay? It comes from, as many people pointed out, Kingdom Come. There it is. Kingdom Come. There's the logo in all its glory right there. Oh, let me get my little arrow. Right there. There it is on Superman's chest. But this, of course, now the logo looks a little futuristic. It's got a black background because this was a darker Superman who'd been through some stuff. And Kingdom Come is a wonderful story from decades ago, but it's an iconic DC Elseworlds story. I hope Elseworlds don't trip up James Gunn too much, boy. But anyway, it's a fantastic Elseworlds story that's supposed to take place decades later with not only our heroes much older, but their sidekicks all grown up and beyond. And it was very interesting, very, very good story. In fact, it's so iconic that you might recall that Zack Snyder referenced it in his initial poster for Justice League before he got kicked off the film. And DC fans were very excited because we were like, that's incredible. That is perfect. It was just a really, really great thing, and we loved the reference to Alex Ross. Now, the interesting thing to me is that when you look at the cast and everything, you can see that James Gunn is very much seeming to be doing a mix of Zack Snyder. Let me bring this over so I can keep it up. Oh, where did I? Oh, I grabbed the wrong thing. Hold on. Zack Snyder and Richard Donner's Superman. Okay? He seems to be really doing a mix of that. And I don't know how that's going to work out for him. I honestly feel, let me get rid of some of these things. I honestly feel that James Gunn, I don't know why he's doing so much stuff like Zack Snyder. It's so weird to be following. I mean, he and Zack Snyder even worked together very early on in their careers. But for them both to start with Superman and to have very similar elements. And then also, speaking of directors who ended up crashing and burning with DC, Bryan Singer also had a problem with being, he was obsessed with Richard Donner's version of the Superman character. By the way, the Richard Donner Supermans are on Max right now, and I might rewatch the original Superman because I haven't seen it for a very long time, just so I can have a little bit of a better reference point, because clearly James Gunn has recently watched it. But I think clearly Superman should be based on the animated series, the Paul Dini, Bruce Timm one, and then also the recent TV shows, anything from Smallville to Superman and Lois, and even Lois and Clark with Terry Hatcher, who I think is still, in many ways, the best Lois. So I think, I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think? I know we love a poll. What should Superman Legacy be based on? The comics. We'll just do the comics. We'll do Snyderverse. That would seem so stupid to me. Richard Donner. You got to pick one. I only got 4. And then we'll do the TV shows. Animated CW. Okay. So by the way, anyone can vote in a poll. You don't have to be a member to vote in a poll. So anyone can vote in the poll. All right, so while you guys vote, let's go through this cast photo that everybody looks so happy. Hold on one second. Where'd it go? There it goes. All right, there it is. Oh, it's all great. Okay. Now, I think a lot of us were like, why the heck is Superman in the back of this photo? There he is, right in the back with the hat on. I think clearly it was Nathan Fillion's idea to take the photo. Oh, thanks, Paul, for gifting those memberships. I think it must have been Nathan Fillion's idea to take the photo, which is why he's up front. But clearly that should have been Superman in the front and not Nathan Fillion. And by the way, I don't care how long David Corenswet works out for. I don't think he's going to get to be as big as Nathan Fillion. Nathan Fillion has a pretty big physique. Some of you feel that Nacho says they don't want to show the muscles. What? Why not? I mean, if anything, don't you want people to be excited? All right, so we're going to go through the cast in just a moment. Let me pull this down. But I would say that I agree with some people that this doesn't seem like a Superman movie. It seems a little bit more like just a DC movie, which, hey, could be fine. It could be fine. I just want this to be good, to be honest with you, because it's more fun to cover stuff that people like. But I am nervous. But I will say that some of these things about these photos are great. Like, for instance, I saw somebody respond and say that the Lois and Jimmy castings look the best here. And I would agree. I was very nervous about Rachel Brosnahan as Lois, but she looks really great there. I really think she looks really fantastic. So, you can't totally see her as well, but at least in that photo, I'm feeling a little better about Lois, to be honest with you. All right, so let's go through everybody, okay? So obviously, while you guys vote, all right? So obviously that's James Gunn in the middle, all right? He's like, woo, someone called him Wolf Blitzer, which I thought was pretty funny, but hey, this is his new look. I think it looks good. I think, he has a very strong brand, and this is his all-white hair era. And I think that's important to have eras so that people know what they're dealing with. In fact, I would even maybe say he should shave the beard or something, or keep just the mustache, so that his DC Gunverse era has a very specific look. It helps me when making poster frames. All right, so then let's go around. So this is obviously Nathan Fillion, who's in all of James Gunn's movies. And Nathan Fillion is playing one of the Green Lanterns, Guy Gardner. There's very much going to be like a JSA kind of situation here, right? So it's the JSA or some version of the Justice League that Superman's going to be dealing with. But no cool characters are on it, okay? Then this actress here is playing right behind him. I can't make this thing turn, all right? So sorry, Nathan Fillion. This is the engineer from The Authority. The only character they seem to be bringing over from The Authority, which makes no sense to me, but that's fine. That's what they're doing. She's usually wearing she's like a robot. She's like Zendaya at the premiere of Dune. But I do think that I like her hair and the dreadlocks that they've put in there, and the braids, I guess is a better description, and the way the side is shaved. That looks pretty cool, I will say. I like that. All right, then right here, this is Eve Tessmacher. Okay, that's going to be Eve Tessmacher because he's not going with Mercy Graves or any of the recent Lex Luthor supporting cast. He's instead going with Lex Luthor supporting cast from the Richard Donner movie. So that's Eve Tessmacher there, right over here. That's Eve Tessmacher from the animated, from the Richard Donner film. Okay? So that's who they're going to have instead of Mercy Graves. Then, yes, he is from X-Men First Class, Darwin. That's Mr. Terrific. And I will admit, he does look like he buffed up substantially already. You can already see it. And he's going to be playing Mr. Terrific. I'm still not sure how I feel about the casting, but I think let's see how it goes. I do think Mr. Terrific is a wonderful character. All right, then, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Well, he's playing Otis. That's this guy. Here. Hold on, let me get it so you can see it. That's this guy. Otis, that's the lackey, the goofy lackey of Lex Luthor, who nobody knows if they don't watch the Richard Donner movies. That character did not carry over, but that's going to be Otis. Are they going to be both bald? I think that would be an interesting choice. So that's going to be Otis. I'm not familiar with that actor at all, but I'm excited to meet him. I think James Gunn's casting sometimes is pretty good. All right, then they're in the back to Superman. He's like, I'm in this movie too. Hello, everybody. So I feel weird that he's so far back there. I'm surprised that nobody who was taking the photo or anybody who was working in publicity wasn't like, he can't be that far in the back, guys. Maybe it's because he's tall, Danny. That's right. Maybe that's because he's very tall. All right, then there's Lex Luthor. There's Nicholas Hoult. He looks totally different. He's looking pretty Lex Luthor-y, I have to say. And he actually shaved his head, although they can do pretty good things with a bald cap. I recently saw something on Twitter where they were showing Bryan Cranston getting ready to film as Walter White, and he didn't shave his head, and yet you'd never guess that watching the iconic series. But he looks pretty good. At least he can say he committed. He fully committed. You know, Nicholas Hoult probably said he'd shave his head if he got the role. He's been so desperate to finally get one of these things. So he had to deliver. And I think he looks pretty good, actually. I think he looks surprisingly good. So I'm excited about that. Thank you, Nacho, for pointing that out. Austin Butler also had a bald cap for Dune, and he looks great. He looks great in Dune. You'd never guess that he was wearing a bald cap. All right, then that's Peter Safran. Oh, my God, he exists. Peter Safran came out of the woodwork. He's like, hey, everybody, how you doing? All right, and then he's very cool for school. He's got his shades on. Then, that's NoHo Hank from Barry. I'm so happy for him. I love NoHo Hank, and he's playing Metamorpho. Now, I'm happy about that, but I think that's kind of such a James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad thing to do. I don't think Metamorpho belongs in this movie. I'm sorry. I just don't think he does. I would wish that he was playing somebody else. I wish he was playing Lex Luthor. I'd take that. Although I'm excited to see Nicholas Holt's take on the role. But there's really no reason to have Metamorpho in this movie. Although, again, I look forward to having my mind changed. All right, then, right down there's Skylar Gisondo, right? That's his last name. Love this kid. Love Skylar Gisondo. He's been working in Hollywood forever. I recently rewatched Four Christmases because I was desperate for a new Christmas movie that I hadn't seen a gabillion times. It was awful. I shouldn't have watched it. But while I was watching it, that's the Vince Vaughn, Reese Witherspoon Christmas movie that does not seem Christmassy at all. Skylar Gisondo was in the movie. He's one of those child actors like Macaulay Culkin or Elijah Wood or Kieran Culkin that's been acting for like a really, really long time. He is Jimmy Olsen already. He doesn't have to do any acting. He's perfectly cast. It's ridiculous how well he's cast. He is perfectly in the best cast of anybody in this photo. That's how good he is as Jimmy Olsen. He's got the red hair. He's got the freckles. He's absolutely perfect. All right, then there she is, Lois Lane. I love Lois. She's a journalist, right? I love Lois so much. I'm a big fan of Lois. I feel for a long time now Lois hasn't been getting the respect that she deserves. And I've been nervous about Rachel Brosnahan in the role, particularly because while I love The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, that thing tanked in the ratings. It won a ton of awards, got a lot of attention. Nobody ever really wanted to watch it. So that scared me. But doesn't she look so great there? She looks wonderful. She looks so happy. She looks so fresh. She looks like so much it's like so much has been lifted off of her. Like, I guess she is a really great actress because her Mrs. Maisel always seemed so upset. Oh, thank you, Sadie, for gifting a membership. Her Mrs. Maisel just seemed like everything was so tough for her, you know? And there was like a huge chip on her shoulder, which was part of the character. But she just looks like just so great there. I just can't believe how good she looks. She looks really, really good. So I feel really good about that. And then there's Isabella Merced, hot off of Madam Web, as Hawkgirl. Like Metamorpho. I also feel there's absolutely no reason for Hawkgirl to be in this movie. And I'm nervous about Isabella Merced because almost every single thing that she's been in has been bad and not done well. And that's why I'm nervous about her joining this project. And also, and she's also very short for Hawkgirl, which I think is obviously going to maybe have to be a joke in the movie. And I'd really, again, especially talking about the animated series, that's what everybody wants. Hawkgirl from the animated series. I don't understand why it's so hard for us to get what we want. Shiera Hall with the red hair, dating Jon Stewart. Give it to me. I'm not saying she's not Sweet Riley. Nobody wants to be box office poison, and I hope she turns things around. But oh boy. All right, so let me close this poll, and then I can't do a poll for who you're the most excited about because I only have four spots, but I will ask you a question in a second. So what does, my glass is my Sweeney Todd glass, everybody. It's my Sweeney Todd glass from seeing the Broadway musical with Josh Groban. Thank you very much. All right, the comics, 61% feel it should just be based on the comics. 26% feel it should be the TV shows, and then 6% for the Richard Donner, and only 5% for the Snyderverse. That is a clear indication that you guys don't want it to be like any of the previous movies, and you want it to be its own thing. And I couldn't agree with that more. I would love for this just to be something that seems totally its own thing instead of a mashup of the movies that came beforehand. Especially because of all the drama that particularly surrounded the Snyderverse, I think we all just kind of would like to move on at this point. All right, so I can't do a poll, but please write in the chat, if you can, if you're a member, who you think looks the best. And let's see who gets the most. Let's watch the chat fly like Superman, like a speeding train or faster than a speeding bullet. Oh, look at Jose using all caps. Okay, we got Lois and Skylar. They're really taking the lead. We got a nun from Steve. He's not feeling it. Oh, that's a good idea for a poll. Lois is killing it. I see so little. Oh, Peter Safran's funny joke, Marco. I love it. Lex Luthor's getting some love. I love it. A little bit of a nod for Superman. I'm glad. There's some Anthony Kerrigan fan. Oh, Lloyd. That's just Lloyd twice. How'd you get around the delay? That's great. Oh, look. Devin threw in Nathan. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his last name. Nathan Fillion. That's right, Ben. Thank you. That's awesome. Ulysses. Batman's not in this photo. He's in the shadow. There's Batman. I see him. He's back there. Oh, that'd be great. We'd be like, there's Batman is back there. Batman still better than this entire cast. Because Batman's the best. Oh, I love Batman. I still feel they should have built off of Matt Reeves. It was so perfect. It was ripe for the taking. I don't care what Matt Reeves has said. I'd be like, who owns the studio? Who's the boss here? I believe it's me. Because I love Robert Pattinson's Batman and Matt Reeves' Batman so much that was the direction to go in. And it's weird. All right, let me do a poll on what you think of this. Now you've seen this photo. Okay. And then, oh yeah, you guys, I didn't ask questions on the last one. We'll do a question section in just a second on this. How does this photo make you feel about Superman Legacy? Better. No change. No, the same. The same. Still excited. No, we'll just do same. We don't need the same. Same, still excited. Same, still nervous. We'll do still nervous. Nervous. And then we'll do worse. Okay. Now, while you ask questions, anyone can vote in this poll. All right? Anybody can vote in this poll. You don't have to be a member to vote in the poll. Have your voice heard. Okay, everybody. And then I'll tell you my thought at the end. Okay? Because some of you say I influence the poll, which is very flattering. Thank you. But I don't want to influence the poll. All right. Any questions about the Superman Legacy situation? Danny, I'm so glad that Jennifer Holland and Sean Gunn aren't in this photo. At least James Gunn is learning. He took a separate photo with them, and he was like, they're not, with Jennifer Holland and someone else. And he's like, they're not in the movie. And we're like, I think maybe they are. If he can show the self-control not to put Jennifer Holland in this movie, even in an end credit sequence, I will respect that. I mean, that's also, remember, it's his wife. So he's got to say, no, honey, you can't be in this movie. I mean, he gave her so much. She should not want to be in the movie because I think that would help people how they feel about her, you know? Like, it would make her seem more like a team player. She doesn't need to be in Superman Legacy. She's going to be in Peacemaker Season 2. Josh, Supergirl isn't in the cast photo because it's a leak that she's going to be in the end credit scene or during the movie. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Superman's sitting on the Fortress of Solitude or on top of the Daily Planet and he's having a heart-to-heart with Kara, you know, or whatever they're calling her. You know, that's kind of like what I would guess it would be. They're like, it's hard being super people. Or maybe they're like on the farm. You know, one of those scenes. A farm in Ohio. What about Kansas? I never thought of that. Kansas is going to be like, what the F? What are you doing a couple states over? Oh, that's right, Elliot. It was Freddie Stroma who was Vigilante. Maybe they're getting ready to film Peacemaker. I gotta tell you, I'm glad that some of you like Peacemaker so much, but when I saw that trailer yesterday for Mortal Kombat, I was like, I still find this character so offensive. Like, that's what was weird about it. I thought that the trailer for Mortal Kombat was done so incredibly well, and it so perfectly captured that character from top to bottom. It was incredible, but I really just disliked that character. And I also really like John Cena. I think John Cena is a great guy. I mean, he's like a stand-up guy, and I think he's very funny, and I enjoy seeing him on camera. But I just hate the character. I think that a lot of the dialogue that he has in that trailer, I find just so offensive. I'm like, it's so offensive. And so that's one of the reasons that I have not covered. I mean, if they start putting bigger characters in Peacemaker, I'll have to cover it. But that's one of the reasons I've stayed away from Peacemaker, because I don't want to be a party pooper. You know, like, I just so fundamentally don't fit with the character that I don't want to, like, fight with you guys over every episode. Like, that's not fun for either of us, right? And yet I can't cover it without calling out how appalling the behavior is. So I'm like, I'm just not going to say anything about it. Because some people really like it. Not a lot. It's a small audience. Let's see. We'll see if maybe the audience grows. But people who like Peacemaker really like it. And so that's awesome. All right. Let me close the poll. Nikki says, but it's for comedy, Grace. No, because I think it makes it excusable. I think it makes that behavior excusable. Because then anybody, isn't that so often what people say when they say something offensive? They're like, oh, I was making a joke, or I was being funny, or can't you take a joke, or why are you so serious? So I really find it offensive. All right, so, but again, I don't want to make you feel bad for liking Peacemaker. So this is the boat that I find myself in. All right, so how does this photo make you feel about Superman Legacy? Same, 42% still nervous. Same, 30% still excited. I'm surprised it didn't move the needle for 72% of you. That's surprising to me. Sure moved the needle for me. I feel better about the movie, especially after talking to you about it. I do feel better about the movie. 16% agree with me, and 10% say they feel worse about the film. Although I think James Gunn is going to have to deal with haters. And some of you are perfectly justified in your hate. You know, it's an emotional world, especially now. I mean, look what Avatar: The Last Airbender is dealing with. A lot of emotional hate on that show. And so some people are going to vote worse just because they want that category to have votes. But I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying, like, you know, I think that that's just a natural human thing. All right, let's move on to the next story, and then we can do the Ask Me Anything. All right. Story number 3. Boom, baby. All right, Harry Potter versus Avatar. I needed a third story of the day, and it was either this or Tom Cruise wants an Oscar. And I thought this was a little bit more interesting for us to discuss. So, they're redoing, as you probably heard, for the Harry Potter series in 2026, whoever makes that if they do. That's so far away that I don't even know. I mean, that to me says they're not even going to hire anybody to do the show until they sell it, right? Because that's so far away. Like, you could definitely probably have that show for 2025 if you really, really wanted to move on it, you know? But whatever. All right, so they're redoing the original story. They're going to retell the books, but the idea is that this time, even though it's the third version of the same damn story, this time, because it's a series, they'll have more time to tell the books accurately. You know, they left so much details out of the movies. The movies were such broad strokes that if you didn't read the books, you were like, I don't know what's happening here, but I like being here. I went to the Harry Potter store the other day again. I didn't buy anything, although I was very tempted to buy a Slytherin shirt. I gotta represent. I have some Slytherin stuff already, but I was like, that's a pretty nice Quidditch shirt. Maybe I should get that. And then I tweeted a photo of it to some people, and I was like, do you want to buy this for me? Some of my friends, and they were like, are you going to wear it? That's typically the discussion sometimes when I'm talking about, like, when you're an adult, and especially with family, they're like, are you actually going to use that? And you're like, maybe not. I do own a lot of t-shirts already, but I kind of liked it. Maybe I will pick it up. Maybe I'll pick it up for myself. I'm going to be down there again soon. Maybe I should. Should I buy the Slytherin shirt? Let me show you the photo of it. Side note. They also had some socks that I kind of liked. Where is it? Here it is. Should I buy this shirt? I like it. I think it's kind of nice. They also had these socks, which I thought were cute. I was like, oh, that's pretty nice. These are the nicest Slytherin things that they had. So, I know, yeah, well, is it JK? I guess, I don't know. I mean, you're not gonna derail Harry Potter. So, yeah, maybe I will pick that up. Maybe I'll pick it up. All right, back to what we're talking about. All right, so I like Harry Potter. Harry Potter's a nice world. It's very cozy. I love the theme parks that they have at Universal. Although some of you really do not want to support J.K. Rowling. That's interesting. But then how do you explain Hogwarts Legacy being the top-selling game of the year? Clearly, you know, a lot of people are getting past it. It reminds me of, thank you, Popcorn Roulette, for that nuanced take of only buy the shirt, not the socks. Maybe you're right. People can rarely see my socks. I usually wear black pants, black socks. I like the look. And it's black. It's not navy. But anyway, all right. But anyway, it reminds me of that Pete Davidson joke. How do you listen to Michael Jackson music? With your headphones on. All right. Again, we'll see how that movie does. Some people were really defending, really defending Michael Jackson when we talked about him on the stream the other day. All right, so this is a kind of a non-story, which is why I'm losing a little bit of focus. But let me get back to focused on it, all right? So they're retelling, I think they're going to do a season a book. Aw, man. So that's like, what, 8 years of stories? It's ridiculous. I wouldn't green like this. I would say I'm doing a Harry Potter series, but not that one. Maybe that's why Zazzy's dragging his feet on it, because maybe he knows it's not a great idea. He's like, I want to do a Harry Potter series, but I don't want to make any waves, so I'm just going to say I'm going to retell the books. But I'm like, it's nuts. Oh, it's 7 books? Maybe they could do two books a season? I mean, I don't want to take that long to redo Harry Potter. I mean, that seems nuts to me. I'm just so stupid. But that's the plan right now. So the third time, you already read it in the books, you saw it in the movies, and now you can see it in live action with even more detail on Max. Now, if you look at the reaction to Avatar, it's not been great. Not been great. Some of us are really perplexed as to why the reaction to Avatar is so bad, because we think it's phenomenal. I think Avatar is incredible. And we suspect that a lot of it is, people just having, again, that emotional reaction, partly to it being different than what they remember, partly upset with Netflix, partly upset to, I think, when the OG creators left. I think that was not healed, even though they tried at the last minute. I just think there's like a lot of drama. And if I were Harry Potter, if I were in charge of that world, why would I do that for Harry Potter? I'd be like, you see what's happening with Avatar? Imagine that times a gabillion. So I think, and I agree with, let me do a poll, okay? All right? I'll talk about it while I'm writing the poll. What do you want out of Harry Potter? Okay. So, retelling of books with more detail. Okay? New stories at time of books. New stories in the future. Oh, no, wait. Let's just do new stories. New stories of OG characters. I only have 4 sections, so I have to get creative. And then new stories with new characters. Like, look how well Hogwarts Legacy did, right? And then no more Harry Potter. All right, anyone can vote in a poll again. You don't have to be a member to vote in a poll. Anyone can vote in a poll. All right, we can't put animation in there. I've only got 4 categories. I think fans want new stories. I would either see if I could hire back the original cast. None of them are working. It's true. I'm sorry. And then I would do new characters. David does not like Avatar. Some of you really don't like it, which I find inconceivable because I like it so much. Although you definitely exist. I did a poll on Twitter. It was 50-50, like, dislike. Devin says we could tell other stories with diverse casts. Well, they are planning to, some would argue not race bend Hermione, but put her back to the ethnicity that J.K. Rowling originally envisioned. Although I think J.K. Rowling retcons a lot of stuff. She has a lot of revisionist history. Like she was like, she makes all these changes to try and be more diverse in different areas. And then she never really goes all the way with it. She did a lot of queer baiting with Dumbledore and Grindelwald. Brock Humphrey says, will there be more Harry Potter movies? No, I don't think so. You'll have to ask the new owners. Deandra wants new characters and other... Oh, I would love to go to... Yeah, that would be great. Wouldn't it be great, Deandra? That's at the other wizarding schools. That's a great suggestion, Deandra. I would love new characters at Hogwarts because the game was so successful. A new class. Hogwarts, the new class. Hilarious. And then, they could go and visit some of the other schools instead of them having to show up for competitions now and then. Like, let's actually go over there. And then Kevin says, I would rather make a movie based on Hogwarts Legacy or focus on the games and leave the movies alone unless they follow the cast as adults. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I'm not happy with the way J.K. Rowling handled herself either, just to clarify, just to make that clear. I don't think it should kill the brand because it just means too much to too many people and too many people's jobs rely on it. But I think that J.K. Rowling really should just take a step back and collect her money. I don't even think she's positively contributing in a creative sense anymore because she did such a horrible job with Fantastic Beasts. Hogwarts senior year, that's hilarious. Well, they could do a new cast and they could do the years. I don't know how many years is the Hogwarts study? I don't know if it's a typical, because it's based on UK school, so I don't know if it's 4 years like in America. But yeah, you could do like first year, second year, third year, right? Curlian says, how about a spin-off of Harry Potter set in the present day? I think that would be what it would be, right? Isaac Lopez says, what about Snape? Yeah, I don't know. It went so poorly going back on Dumbledore's history. I really just think, oh, it's 7-year program? Oh yeah, one for each book. Wow, you guys are in high school equivalent for a very long time. That's nuts. I would love my series to run for 7 seasons, but I don't know if I want to. They have to be careful not to embarrass themselves because that's what they did with Fantastic Beasts. They were like, it's going to be 5 movies, and they only got to 3. So, high school in Europe is 6 years. God bless you. It's a long time. So Jerome says 5 years in school, 2 years in college, and 2 to 3 years in uni. What's the difference between college and uni? Is that like college and graduate school? I am a firm believer that they should get rid of college in the United States and everybody should go right to graduate school. I think basically, here's my side rant on the United States education system. I'm surprised I have an opportunity to share it. I feel that college has stepped in and taken advantage of what high school is supposed to teach you. I feel to some degree college has become almost a retread and allows high school to be lax. And then people get in trouble in high school because nobody's actually learning anything. You really should be learning in high school what you learn in, traditional undergraduate college. And I really feel that everybody should decide what they want to do. Not everybody even needs to go to college. I think, there ain't nothing wrong with picking what you want to do and just pursuing that right out of high school. I did that to a degree. And I think and I at one point had considered going to graduate school, but they were like, you need to be out in the real world for a while and then come back. And my honest reaction was, once I'm in the real world, there's no way I'm coming back to school. Are you kidding me? I don't want to go back to having a teacher and homework, although unless that works for you, at some points, if you want to do a major shift in your life, you should do that. But I didn't like the idea that I had to do it to go to graduate school. And then also, you're ridiculously in debt. I just feel very strongly about this. I feel high school is a big problem. I think high school doesn't do enough, and that's why a lot of teenagers are getting in trouble because they have nothing demanded of them. Lisa, I'm glad to see a number of you agree. It's always a little scary to share a strong opinion. And John Thrasher also agrees about trade school. I went to film school undergrad, which is essentially trade school. And I'm really glad that I did it. And I'm a little annoyed that the United States prioritizes graduate schools as the better programs because you have to be so much in debt and it takes up so much of your time to go to graduate school. I think that's too much to ask of people. Oh, that's right, Linzek, this is a bit of a unicorn. So many of you do agree with me. Oh, that makes me feel nice. And shows that this is what they should do. Our politicians suck. They don't do anything that they're supposed to. Dad Boy says, I really like the Hogwarts Legacy game, so I was hoping that would be a prequel series with new characters instead of a Yeah, that would be great, right? Does the Hogwarts Legacy game take place before the Harry Potter books? Romaine says, what about a series about an author killing her brand? Warner Brothers ain't going to make it, but maybe you could get Ryan Murphy to make it. And Ryan Murphy, by the way, of course, not only an ally of the LGBT community, but in it, he might be willing to make that show. J.K. Rowling versus the fans. That'd be a great feud, actually. What a great idea. You should tweet that to Ryan Murphy. Although I don't know how much he works with Warner Brothers. He'd have to not work. I think he just recently decided to go back to Netflix or something, right? I forgot. He recently made a new deal. But that's a great idea for a feud. You should totally tweet that to him. Let me close the poll, and I think we're ready to move on to the next story. To the Q&A. All right. What did you want out of the Harry Potter series? 34% say new stories with new characters. So what I want. 24% want new stories with the OG characters. But that means that 58% of you want new stories. 23% of you don't want any more Harry Potter. And I'm surprised how big. 18's pretty big. 18% of you would like to see this series. But that's what I don't think they should do. By the way, speaking of trans, last night, if you are a super follower of me on Twitter, I tweeted this last night. Last night I watched Next Goal Wins because it was only an hour and 44 minutes and it was no extra cost on Disney Plus because I also subscribe to Hulu, so now that's folded into my Disney Plus app. So I decided to watch it, and I got to tell you, I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. It was a real crowd pleaser. I thought it was hilarious. I forgot how funny Michael Fassbender can be. I was laughing out loud. I thought that was great. And then also they had a really fantastic story about a real-life trans character. This is based on a true story. And I thought that was one of the best depictions of a trans character that I've seen in Hollywood. So really, really well done. And a big shout out to the actress who portrayed her. But it was great. I really like Next Goal Wins. If you're looking for something to watch, I highly recommend it. And it's obviously a gorgeous location in American Samoa. All right. Kevin Cisneros says the game takes place in 1890. What? This is getting ridiculous. No wonder you guys are asking if it should be modern day. I was thinking, how would it not? Brian says, as a newbie, he loved Avatar. You're talking about the new Avatar The Last Airbender show? I'm so glad. I love it. It's #1 on Netflix right now. Next week, we'll get the numbers because Netflix is fast with their charts. Although I got to tell you, we're going to go over the charts on Sunday, but I was really surprised at the perspective Nielsen was able to offer on how Griselda did. Oh, we're going to talk about it. Loch Ness Anthony, thank you for joining. All right, let's do the Q&A. All right. Although Bagel Time didn't like Next Goal Wins. Not everybody will love it, but I got to tell you, I think most people will. I really, really enjoyed it. Particularly as something to stream. It was a great streaming movie. All right, that's right, you guys. Booyah, you're remembering. All right, that's the new thing for the Q&A. Booyah! All right, it's 12:45. I can answer your questions until 12:55. And then I'll do a couple of quick shout-outs, and then I have a Zoom meeting at 1. So we're really cutting it close here, although it's my fault for starting later than I would have liked. It's Friday. It's Friday. Okay. Maruna says, I'm not sure I want to see TikTok's take on Hogwarts, the series. Yeah, I got to tell you, TikTok is pretty aggressive and very influential. Although I saw an interesting theory that a lot of people, at least on Twitter, or maybe even on TikTok as well, were intentionally putting out very strong negative takes for engagement. And I was like, Elon Musk, what have you done? I gotta say, Twitter's pretty trashy these days. It's like being on the National Enquirer, and you have to question the motivation of every single post. And especially with AI entering the chat. What hath we wroth? Buck's Basement says the more interesting topic is One Piece live action versus Avatar live action, and how one succeeded while the other is not liked. That's an interesting question, Buck's Basement. I didn't see One Piece, and I've never read One Piece, so that's one of the reasons. And also, unfortunately, it came out while I was away on vacation, and I've never been able to live it down. But I think One Piece, because it was, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure. It's very interesting to me why one. I think it was because of the situation with the creators. I really feel that as soon as they left, that really hurt this show. So I hope they're happy. You can make money. You can make quite a bit of money on TikTok, I believe, if you have you sell ads, right? Danny, I haven't heard anything about the House of the Dragon release date, but we know it's coming out in 2024. Oh, let's see here. Danny says, who watched both, that Avatar, while you still liked it, you thought One Piece did a much better job adapting. That's interesting. Dane, I haven't asked about a screener for Damsel yet, but I am going to try and get one. I think it's a little early for a screener for Damsel. I think I'm going to ask for it next week because we're still 2 weeks out from the movie. Landon says, where did that go? Do you have any sense of how long before background and stunt actors are replaced by AI? Oh, that's what you were asking the other day. 5 months, 5 years. Well, they're already using AI and visual effects to do a lot of background extras already. I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be 5 months, and I don't think they'll ever totally get rid of it because they. I don't know. It's very sad to think of that. I think closer to 5 years, if I had to guess. Let's see. Let me see if I missed any super chats. If you ask them too far back, I can't see them because YouTube gets rid of them. Just so you know. Be very careful about when you ask the super chat. Let me go back and see if I can find these. Riley says, big Avatar The Last Airbender fan, great show, but they missed the mark on a few big things like Azula. Entire fandom loves her and they messed her up. They did mess up Azula. I would agree with that. April Moon says, as a college instructor, I agree. Oh, that makes me so happy, April. You know, good luck to you. I'm sure it's tough. Oh, there's Coven of Hags' thing. Hi, Grace. I've been a fan for years, and your channel has got me through a lot of dark times. Thank you. Oh, my pleasure. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm about to graduate college with my bachelor's in mortuary science. Oh, that's very exciting. And you definitely helped. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you just got to keep going. You got to fight the good fight. And I'm really glad that I'm able to help you sometimes pull out of those dark times. You know, I have to be careful. I've decided I'm going to try and go to sleep earlier because the later I stay up, the darker my thoughts get. And then I can't fall asleep. You know, I just get worried about stuff. It's not good. Let's see here. All right, I got the chats. Whew. Woo. Blair Wraith, I'm not going to get that Dune popcorn bucket. I ain't no pervert. Let's see here. Guto Ruiz says, Grace, do you have any tea about X-Men 97 for us? I'm very excited about the show. I'll definitely be covering it. I hope it's a weekly. I think we're going to have, although I don't want to rewatch the series, but I'm very excited about it. I'm very, very excited about it. I don't have any tea about it, though, at the moment. Chico says, Grace, what are your thoughts on The Boys Season 4 release date for June 13th? I'm just glad it's coming. I'm glad it's locked down on a release date. I'm a little nervous about it coming out, in the summer, about coverage times, but let's see. I think it's going to be great. I love that show. Jonathan says, what are your thoughts on the Tyler Perry AI drama? Well, for those of you who don't know, Tyler Perry decided not to expand his studio because he's worried about AI taking away so many jobs, and he feels that it's not worth investing the amount of money that he had planned. I think it was like $800 million. Well, I think he's certainly helping, by not creating those jobs right away. I think people should be fighting harder against AI. I feel too many people are like, what are you going to do? And it's like, something? That would be nice if you did something about it. Josh Zeitler says, do you think Dune not having appropriate representation for the setting will hurt the box office? I think the first movie, I think a lot of people not caring for the first movie is what's going to hurt it. I'm really nervous about how it's going to do at this point. But let's see. Premium screens are selling out in big cities. But that's about it. I've checked other theaters. Like, if I didn't live in New York City, I'd be having a heck of an easier time getting a ticket. Elise says, what's all this? I don't know what you're talking about, Elise. I'm sorry. Let's see here. Finn Moreau says, I was a Harry Potter fan for years, but as an LGBT person and seeing the murder of Next Benedict, I'll never feel comfortable spending money on anything Harry Potter related. JK unapologetically contributes to this violence against the LGBTQ plus community. I totally understand where you're coming from. So, I totally understand it. Let's see here. Mecky Powell says, I just read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow and I'm incredibly nervous about James Gunn's adaptation. Oh, and great job on the lives. Thank you, Mecky. Well, you know what? I was nervous too, but then he recently said that it was going to be inspired by that comic. So that means it's going to be very different. So that's good. Max says, Grace, after seeing how much you love Avatar, I really think you should give One Piece a chance. The world is way more kooky and unique. And I would sell a leg for a BTT One Piece review. When the One Piece comes back, I will review One Piece Season 2. I don't know if One Piece is for me. I'm a little nervous about it. And again, I don't want to be a hater. Mars73 says, oh, how you doing? Says, hi, Grace. I'm excited for Superman Legacy, but I'm a huge fan of how Henry Cavill portrayed Superman Clark, so hopefully David Cornsweet can give this character. I hope it's a new take, Mars73. I think it's going to be weird if it just seems like Henry Cavill light. I'm nervous about that. Let's see here. Oh, Angela. Hi. Hi to you and your brother. Hi, Grace. What are your thoughts on the Spider-Man 4 drama with Sony and Marvel? Well, I haven't heard that myself. You know, they're arguing about how to make the film, what path to take forward. But I think it's good. I think particularly because, you know, Marvel's had some missteps lately. I think the push and pull is what you want in a creative situation. So hopefully that means we'll get something really good at the end. So if that is indeed what's happening, I'm sure it'll settle out okay. Jay Garcia says, hi, Grace. Please tell us your quick thoughts about how it would impact our I put two things together. Hi, Grace. Please tell us your quick thoughts about the Almost story. Tom Cruise wants an Oscar. I'll be curious to see if he can get it. I think that his Scientology situation probably is going to muddle the voting for him a little bit. But let's see. You know, he's got a lot of Golden Globes, which he gave back because he was so upset about that controversy, which I, of course, understand. But he's got no Oscars. But, you know, I think his best shot is an honorary Oscar, to be honest with you. But let's see what Warner Brothers can come up with for him. Brooklyn says, hi, Grace. Your vids and streams helped me get the highest grade on my university business ethics assignment on AI and the strikes last summer. That's so fantastic, Brooklyn. The highest grade? Oh, good for you. I'm excited. That's so great that you not only enjoyed my coverage, but that you were able to internalize it and then use it. That's fantastic. That makes me very happy. Coven of Hag says, have you heard anything about it, the next Shrek? Not yet, but I was one of the first people to tell you that they were doing another Shrek. Devin Henderson says, could you see both Spider-Mans in the MCU? Miles with Young Avengers and Peter with the Avengers. Don't stick poor Miles with the Young Avengers. Let him just be Miles. Oh, yeah. It's almost 1 o'clock. Thank you. Thank you, Dane. Let me see if I missed. Okay. All right. Oh, thanks, Aubrey. What a nice thing for you to say. My pleasure, Jay Garcia. I was happy to do it. And then Astral Austin says, hi, Grace. Writing a horror sequel and was wondering if I need to sell it to the same studio who produced. Do not write a sequel for a franchise that you are not a part of. It is going to be so much harder for you to sell it. You're always better off with an original idea. They do not acquire, except if it's from already established talent, submitted stories to an already established franchise. Those are always for hire works. So I would highly recommend that you always work on an original, inexpensive idea. Or if you don't want to be attached to it, you could write a big blockbuster, but it's going to be harder. They don't really want to take pitches on new ideas. All right, you guys are great. I got it. I can't answer the other questions. I feel awful, but I'm going to be late for my call. So let me do some shout outs, okay? So what are you guys up to? What's going on? Let me just say hi. That's right, Matt. They won't even read them for fear of being accused of stealing. Couldn't have said it better, Matt. They will not even look at the script. Sensation is having delicious carne asada burrito. Oh, that sounds delicious, Sensation. Thank you, Maruna. That's very sweet of you. Martin Radio is watching Tenet in 70mm tonight with the re-release. Have a good time. Heather says, have a good day, relaxing on her day off. Oh, that's so great, Heather. I hope all is well. Say hi to your roommate for us. Jewel Rodriguez. Hi, Jewel. Says, going to the Bad Bunny concert in Vegas tonight. Oh, Jewel. You're living your best life. I love it. Erica says, hi, Grace. I'm in Phoenix watching the stream instead of working. That's okay, Erica. It's Friday. Let's see here. Isaac Lopez is about to enter the gym while Dylan Reese is eating a bagel while working. I love it. Thanks, Loch Ness Anthony. Steve Quintanilla says, getting ready to dye my hair blonde in L.A. Oh, you'll find out if you have more fun. Oh, Adam, I'm so sorry you're sick. I'm so sorry, Adam. Feel better soon. Mr. Badger says, watching Below Deck with my best friend. Aw, that's very sweet. I hope that's not a metaphor for something. I'm glad you guys are having a good time. Targaryen Poppy says, in the Miami airport, about to work another flight in the Bahamas as a flight attendant. What a cool job! And what a great destination. Jose Antonio stayed up till 2 a.m. in Manila watching your stream instead of working as well. Hey, you're going into Saturday, Jose. That's very, you deserve a break if you're working on Friday night so late. And I was up till like 2 or 3 myself last night, so I know what it's like. Jerome says having a chicken roast after work. Oh, that's delicious and very good for you. And Elise is going to see Drive Away Dolls. That's right, I forgot to mention that on Movie Math as a movie that's coming out this week, and I'll be curious to see how it does. And Terry says, just caught the end of the stream. Unfortunately, I'm home with bronchitis, but seeing you and all the other BTT peeps makes me better. Yay! Sending positive vibes to you, Terry. I'm sorry you're sick. I'm sorry, but at least it's not COVID. At least it's bronchitis. Hey, Danny, it's always so nice to see you. And Mr. Sweet Tooth says, watching from Kenya as I have my supper, or take my supper. I love the way you said that, at 9 p.m. Yeah, long day for you too, Mr. Sweet Tooth. I love talking to you guys all over the globe. Look, bagel time in Costa Rica, visiting family. That's so nice. I love that. Iron Issa saying hi to everybody. You guys are all so sweet. You guys are great. The BTT community is great because of all of you. You know, that's just really nice. All right, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you on Sunday for Movie Math. And also, the BTT Inside Access private live stream will be that evening at 6 p.m. Bye, everybody.